Yeah, Dopey Nation, it's Wick. Pompano Beach, we doing this shit again. If you don't know now, I was trying to figure out how to explain to a closed-minded normie what's going on in our heads. So I wrote this poem. We scream, don't be out loud. You smoke that hush, we smoke that loud. We slam shots inside crowds, have our girls screaming like Rihanna, man down, man down. We spend so much money. Listen to me, you can learn something from me. So use a drip it, you ain't shipping in your 20s. Matter of fact, I sold pot to his mommy. Matter of fact, we sell rocks to his mommy. Bitch, I'm from Robert, I sold flock to your mommy. Yeah, that's why I know some motherfucker running. That's why our ribs stick out further than our fucking tummies. Ladies of the night, I walk the street like we're fucking zombies. Might even fuck you for less than fucking 20. Think it's sweet, buy a room, bitch, now it's funny. Told you, boy, it ain't that fucking sunny. Y'all talk shit, but don't say shit in fucking front of me. And then they act like there's a friend of me. But they ain't no friend of me, they're the enemy. I got that remedy, I'ma go to the fucking trunk. You won't fucking think this 10 of me. Mad, I wanna call my dad, cause it's all I ever had, man. It's all I ever had, man. It's all I ever had. These suckers make me mad. I wanna call my dad, cause it's all I fucking have, man. It's all I fucking have. These suckers make me mad. I wanna call my dad, cause it's all I ever had, man. It's all I ever had. These suckers make me mad. I wanna call my dad. It's all I ever motherfucking have, bitch. Toodles. Stay strong.
This episode of Dopey is brought to you by our friends at Aloe Recovery. Located in sunny Southern California, Aloe was created by dear friend of the show, Bob Forrest, and his friends, Evan and Jared and Bob. And Aloe's mission is to treat addicts with connection and compassion, not control. They treat co-occurring mental health disorders, including SMI. They make sure your detox is as comfortable as possible, which is crucial if you're kicking dope or benzos or alcohol or really whatever you're kicking. You want a nice and comfortable detox. They have amazing amenities. They have surfing and sound bath meditation, equine therapy, and sweat lodges. They do it all. If you're fucked and you're willing to go to sunny Southern California to get help, I strongly recommend Aloe. This episode of Dopey is also brought to you by YourSoberBuddy.com. Your Sober Buddy is basically a support mechanism to help anybody struggling with their sobriety or their recovery. It's a character that's super cute and friendly that emails you every day with recovery ideas, thoughts, well wishes, whatever. You can sign up for free at YourSoberBuddy.com. You receive a daily email with motivation, tips, and resources. It helps with any drug or alcohol, any stage of recovery, whether you're just starting out or you've been sober for years. They even have options for anybody on Suboxone or other medical assisted treatment plans. People love Sober Buddy. They look forward to their daily emails, and they've heard from many, many addicts who think that the Sober Buddy has really helped them not relapse. So if you think you could use some support, you go to YourSoberBuddy.com. It's totally free, and please follow them on Facebook and Instagram at YourSoberBuddy. If you have any questions, just let us know. This episode of Dopey is also brought to you by listeners like you in the Dopey Nation through the amazing power of the Dopey Patreon page. And I know what you're thinking. I haven't changed the Dopey Patreon page yet. It is forthcoming. I swear there will be big changes in the Dopey Patreon page very soon. For now, you go to www.patreon.com/dopeypodcast. Throw a few bucks. I appreciate it. It helps me out. It helps the show out. It is a wonderful, wonderful thing. But if you don't give money, that's cool too. I just love people listening to the show. Also, if you want any snapbacks or ski hats or socks, I'm running low. Venmo me at Dopey Podcast, and I will ship them out to you. Also, we have a ton of stickers. If you want Dopey clothes, you go to dopeypodcast.com. There is a ton of t-shirts, long sleeves, hoodies. But the Dopey store is about to change, so if you want anything on that store, I would order now at dopeypodcast.com. Enough with the ads. Here is the show. So good morning or good evening, and welcome to Dopey, the podcast about drugs, addiction, and dumb shit. And I'm Dave, and I'm in Manhattan at my father's kitchen table. Can I say your name?
Yes, of course.
With the great and mysterious chest hair eating, urine drinking, record player smashing, crack smoking, relapse having, great legend, Dopey legend, Ray. Welcome back.
I thought you were just going to say my name.
So should I start over?
You can't say my name. I changed my mind.
Listen.
And it's not evening. It's morning.
It's evening when they listen.
Okay.
It's morning now.
It's very morning.
It's good morning to you, but good evening to the Dopey Nation.
Good evening.
And I have to say that there has been a lot of uproar since Ray's last appearance on the show.
What happened?
Well, everybody couldn't believe. I mean, there's been two people that have, 3 times people have cried on the show, and 2 times they were you.
Yeah, and I'm not going to cry today.
No more tears,
no more
Ray.
Tears. No more drama.
Well, listen. First of all, how's the recovery coming? When's the last time you had a drink?
Let me look. I think I have 12 days now. I kept doing like 7 days. I kept getting 7 days, and then I would drink, and I've been going to meetings. I've been meeting with my sponsor and talking to Dave a lot. And
You haven't been talking to me a lot.
I've been talking. I get a lot of phone numbers, and people have been texting. Anyway, I've been good on that front. But just like once a week, I'll break down, and then the last time I was like, I'm gonna buy a bottle of vodka. I was going to pick up the keys from this dude, and I was like, why am I going to buy
what keys? What dude?
The dude that was on my place? He'd left the keys with somebody, so I went to pick them up, and it was like a music night. And I was gonna I'll get a bottle of vodka and I'll enjoy this night more. And I thought, fuck this. Like, why am I basically killing myself because of some dude that doesn't care about me and doesn't matter and why do I keep doing this every 7 days? And that just was kind of a breakthrough. But I was doing it every 7 days.
Well, so we call that right sizing is coming in, where this dude was everything.
Yeah.
He was your whole brain and your whole heart and your whole soul. Now it's kind of objects in the rearview mirror get to their actual size.
Yeah,
a little bit.
And I'm I'm actually killing myself. I'm going to die.
Well, now you're not killing yourself. Now you might live. Although in the latest update in Ray's love life, or is that off limits?
No, that's cool.
Ray has replaced the last guy with another guy who looks exactly the same, and because Ray has serious issues around sex and love. So welcome to Salah.
I don't think I do.
Sex and love.
I've met a very nice, handsome young man, and we've been seeing each other, and it's beautiful, and it's very casual, and it's really nice.
There was also a lot of complaints about...
He saved my life.
Oh, here we go. I think we're going to get a breakdown
No.
here. How did he save your life? By loving you.
Yes.
When you couldn't love yourself. Here we go.
No, it's really cool. It's very casual, and I don't know where it's going, but it's really nice.
There's been a lot of complaints that the show has been too gay.
It's very gay.
And too Jewish.
And too Irish.
Well, nobody's complained about the Irish quotient.
I'm not Jewish.
You're not Jewish, so today is a pretty gay and Jewish episode, considering. But there's some people coming on the show that are neither gay nor Jewish.
Yeah.
So look forward to that.
Okay.
Do you look forward to that? There's been a lot of stuff. I don't
care.
There's a lot of stuff going on in my life. A lot of stuff that's not great.
I know.
Well, we'll start with the latest, which is last night.
Dave is going to Mexico with me.
I'm not going to Mexico. Last night, Linda went out the other night, and me and Nora were hanging out, and she watches terrible TV.
Like what? The Bachelor?
No. Well, yeah, she does. She does. She watches that.
Did she watch The Masked Singer?
Yes.
Oh, God.
And she watched Survivor that she was... Linda loved Survivor. So Nora got into that. But Nora watches this tween garbage. You don't know about this stuff. There's a show called Victoria or Victorious.
I've heard about some of it.
It's all this kind of regurgitated Saved by the Bell Nickelodeon stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm hanging out with her. I'm like, Nora, it's you and me tonight. And she's like, what do you want to watch? Do you want to watch The Simpsons? And I said, no. I feel like I've watched The Simpsons too much. I said, I'm going to show you Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So me and Nora watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and she goes, Daddy, he's faking, which was cool. She went to bed, and last night we decided we were going to finish it. And I also gave up keto this week. The keto is over.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. But now I'm anyway, we're sitting there and we're watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and we're going to eat ice cream, and she's going to eat the leftover Carvel, and I'm going to eat one of these frozen cones, and I'm eating the frozen cone, and I'm at the bottom of the frozen cone, and in the bottom of the frozen cone, they pack chocolate in it. Mm-hmm. It's very delicious.
Yeah.
And I bit it, and my fucking tooth broke. My fucking tooth broke.
It didn't break. It fell out.
No, it broke.
I know, but it's gone.
Well, now it's gone, but it broke. And if any of you guys know what it's like to eat something and have a tooth break in your mouth, do you know what that's like? Right?
I've never had that.
It is a terrible feeling. And it's like...
I imagine it is.
It's like I was just talking to somebody about how, like, basically how I'm so good in my recovery that I can barely remember what it felt like to be a total fucking drug addict, you know?
Yeah.
And the second the tooth breaks in your mouth...
You look like a meth head.
Well, it all comes back.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I was just like, oh my God, my tooth broke. And it's like, I had another tooth break in my mouth. I had another tooth extracted last year. I had another tooth break years ago in the midst of heroin addiction in California. So this is the third broken tooth in my mouth. And it's sad, and it makes me very upset. And I'm going to have to get serious dentistry.
That's a lot of money.
And this morning, I didn't set my alarm. So I woke up an hour late. I ran for the train. So I'm on the train, filthy, disgusting, toothless. I'm just like this. I'm like this junkie on the train without teeth and like all fucked up.
You can barely see. You can't see Dave's missing tooth.
But I feel it. I feel lighter in the mouth.
Sticking your tongue in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, smile for me. No, you can't even see it.
Wow, it's very, very, very discouraging. And that's just the tip of the iceberg with the way things have been going this last week. It has been a tough week for me.
What else?
Well, my buddy, I have this very close friend who was connected to the show.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Drummer from my band, John, and he got married. And I wrote him a congratulations on Facebook. And he said, thanks. And then I got snarky and I said, why didn't you invite me to the wedding? And he said, why didn't you invite me to your wedding? And I said, I never got married. And he said, whenever you text with me, I feel like shit. So I think I'm not going to tell you to go F yourself, but basically go F yourself. And like, what a sad thing.
Sad for like a long friendship for no reason. Like two grown men like saying, why didn't you invite me to my non-wedding? I mean, the dude got married at the courthouse also.
But that's not the thing. The thing is, why did I have to be snarky with him and ask for an invitation? If I hadn't texted him that, me and him would still be okay.
You'll be friends.
I don't know. I called him yesterday, and he didn't call me back.
Oh.
I also defriended him after he sent me that thing.
Good move.
I had to defriend him. I was so angry. How could he write me that? And then I also got into a thing with another friend. I was in a group text.
You should stay off of the internet.
I was in a group text with my old friends, and one of my old friends is this very accomplished poet.
Yeah. And
one of my old friends is that very accomplished actor. And sometimes these group threads just wind up being like these weird, like Facebook, like, look at me doing this.
Yeah.
Look at me doing this.
Group texts are the worst.
So, yeah, I hate them. And I like group texts where they're funny and like a lot of laughs and we put each other down and it's kind of like old times. So like the poet guy, and two of the guys are in Seattle, and the poet guy texts, I'm going to be in Seattle reading from my new book. And I'm like, and I don't even know why. Like, I'm doing fine. Everything is good,
Yeah, you're so special. Tell me more about yourself.
So, and then my other friend, the actor, goes, oh, I'm going to be in Seattle adapting someone's book into a play. And I guess I'm feeling tired. I'm on the Long Island Railroad.
Yeah.
I, served coleslaw and potato salad at a party all day. And I was like, when did this fucking text become the show-off thread? I said, today I served 65 people coleslaw and potato salad. Look at me.
Nice move.
Look at me. And no one said anything.
You could have said, hey, my Dopey podcast got 4 million downloads.
I know. And then I could have done that, but I didn't. Instead, I wallowed in my misery, which I'm apt to do. Yeah. I felt bad, and like then the thread got dark. You know what I mean? Because somebody wanted to like support me, and they made a joke. They were like, "I popped my pimple," and then somebody else was like, you know, it got dark,
right.
And then the poet was like, "Can't we just practice acts of kindness in this thread?"
Ugh.
And then I had to like reach out to him and apologize, and he was like, "I'm just tired of you, you know, you with this bullshit." And basically, it's the same bullshit I've been doing.
Right. You've been doing this ever since college, and I've never called you on it.
No, I've been doing it forever, but like especially since I was on drugs. Like if somebody's doing well, I'll always say how bad I'm doing.
Yeah,
you know, and it makes me feel comfortable.
Right.
You know, and so I apologized, and but still, I like to live in that place. I don't want to be like, look at me, blah blah blah, downloads, articles, you know, This American Life. I don't like that,
right?
You know, but I'm sure I've done it in the thread
You've
too.
Done it, yeah,
I do it all the time.
Yeah, those threads it's dangerous, and it's all your friends, like
my old friends. Yeah, and I ruined it.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, they're dangerous with that kind of stuff. I do that stuff. I'll brag, and then I'll be like, I'm like yesterday, I'm on the bus. I'm just got another gig in Dublin, and I put that on social media, and I'm like, just got another cool gig in Dublin. And then I'm talking to a friend in private, and I'm like, everybody in Dublin's getting famous except for me. So I did them both within 1 minute of each other.
Well, that is the addict thing of being the piece of shit in the center of the universe.
Yeah.
Or whatever that expression is.
Oh, if you're in Dublin, I'm playing Bloody Mary's April 2nd and Bloody Mary's April 5th. And if you're in County Mayo, I'm at Garbo's on April 3rd.
County Mayo?
Yeah. Garbo's in Castle Bar.
So you're speaking to the Irish.
I'm speaking to
top
the
of the morning to the Irish.
They don't say top of the morning.
No, why not?
I don't know. They just don't.
Top of the morning.
They say, what's the crack?
Do they all listen to House of Pain?
No,
and
that's
drink,
not Irish.
And drink green beer?
No, they listen to Rubber Bandits and TPM.
Do they eat corned beef and cabbage on the daily?
No, they don't.
What do? They go
to halal.
They eat halal food in Ireland?
Yeah. There's halal everything. And chippers.
What are chippers?
Fish and chips.
Wow, you love Ireland, don't you?
Yeah.
So,
and my producer last night was up for...
Oh, your producer.
My producer was up for 2 Choice Awards for Producer of the Year.
Top of the morning, Mr. Producer.
He didn't win, but still, he got nominated for 2, and we're recording in April, and then we're going back in July and recording another. It's a very big night for him, Chris. Alpheon Studios, legendary Alpheon Studios.
Gee, what are you doing? You're turning this into an ad.
Promotion.
Oh my God! Can you believe
I'm very excited.
Can you believe I broke my fucking tooth?
You're gonna come with me to Mexico, and we're gonna fix it really cheap, really nicely.
I think I'm gonna have to tap into my father's vast finances to get a bridge.
I think it's gonna be like $3,000 to $5,000.
$3,000 to $5,000.
It's gonna be a lot. You know where you could go? NYU.
No, I did that when I was in California, and I had this happen with my back tooth. For some reason, I don't think I asked my parents for money. I went to a medical school at USC, and it was
They fucked you up?
It was a dark gray steel-lined room with these 2 idiot medical students
learning,
and they fucking just cracked that shit out of my mouth, and I'm just gushing blood. And luckily I was on heroin, or else that would have been really bad. It was a great excuse to just keep fucking using, Not to mention, there's more news. There's so much news coming down the pike.
Good news?
Bad news. Yesterday, this motherfucker from some fucking rehab called The Retreat wrote some nasty, terrible blog post about Dopey. About me and Chris.
Shit. Yeah, I saw that.
And Todd. And this pussy who calls himself John D., he took it down. He
put a photo up he said he's been sober for 40 years, and the photo is like a 35-year-old man.
Right. Well, he looked even younger than that, I thought.
30.
But, so that's weird. That was a weird picture. Do you remember anything the article said? Because they took it down. I'll tell you things that I remember from the article.
Yeah.
What I remember is, first of all, they said that we cavalierly looked at addiction and recovery, number one. Now, first of all, dude, The show is called Dopey, on the dark comedy of drug addiction, on drugs, addiction, and dumb shit. This is not fucking Bill and Charlie. This is not fucking Joel Olstein's fucking Recreation Hour. This is a fucking comedy
Dumb shit.
drug show. Yes, I'm in recovery. Yes, thank God Ray is back in recovery. And unfortunately, Chris relapsed and died. And that happens if you're funny or if you're not funny, and the fact that you're going to take a stab at something that obviously helps people, helps me, God knows how much it's helped Ray. Look at him. He looks great. And you're going to take a shot at that. Fuck you, first of all. And secondly, he called Todd a listener. Todd, and it's like, dude, you listen to This American Life and you write about Dopey, and I don't like it. It hurt me.
But Dave, if you are in the public eye, people are going to say shit. You're going to get people saying shit like this.
Well, this is a good opportunity for me to get angry, though.
Yeah.
Don't you think so? What else did it say? Do you remember anything else?
I can't remember exactly, but yeah, he didn't like it and he thought you were doing it wrong. But it is a comedy of dumb shit, and obviously the Dopey Nation gets it. The straight recovery world does not get it, or that guy didn't get it.
Well, the truth is that the straight recovery world has lined up basically to Dopey because they know that because we do not handle it like, saints or priests or teachers. We handle it like people that are underneath a great spiritual malady, and we approach it like, normal people. It attracts people to it, and that's why it's something. Yeah. And also, dude, rehabs play Dopey in the rehab. Yesterday, a professor from the university. Yeah. So let's give a big shout out to any treatment centers that are listening to Dopey. There's a bunch of them. Did you know that?
No.
They're probably.
I don't
really
know anything.
I hear things here.
You're
and there.
up on this.
Yesterday, a professor from Miami University had me. They played the This American Life episode for their class, and then they had questions from me, the journalism students.
Wow.
And how it affected me or them or whatever. It was pretty fucking interesting.
This is like when you were young, you had your show in colleges all around. Now when you're 45, you have your show in rehab centers all around from your Stern appearance.
That is interesting, isn't it? Yeah, so it's still very small potatoes, basically, is what you're saying.
People in the Dopey Nation are like, some people are in full recovery, some people are like a little bit of stuff, and some people are fully doing drugs, and some people aren't afflicted at all.
Right.
They're all listening.
Hold on, I see my dad lurking. Dad, come here. Come here, come on. Welcome back to the show, Dad. What are you doing? Let's chop. Welcome back.
Good morning, Alan.
Good morning. I'm trying to stay out of your way.
You're not. He's lurking out of the room. He's creeping. Oh, you're trying to get the paper. Here, Dad, you heard this yesterday. I was on and not to be braggy, I should put this in the text thread. Tell my friends that I was in a thing. But I was at the University of Miami. A professor of journalism had me on the show, or me in the class, after they played their students the This American Life piece.
She interviewed you from the school?
The students asked me questions.
And you were good then. You were terrific.
I don't think it was that. Good. But more importantly, there's lots of pro my dad Alan support on the show.
Oh yeah, people are in love with Alan.
People are searching him out, and I just want my dad to read this email that we just got. Dad, where's your glasses? I gotta find it. We get so many emails. Hold on for one second.
I'm crushing hard on Alan.
Hold on. All right, you ready?
Amy Sprague.
You don't. What's wrong with you? You don't say their full name. All right.
Sorry, Amy. I didn't see this before.
It's an email.
I just wanted to throw. Oh, no wonder. I just wanted to throw my pro Alan hat in the ring and say I fucking die laughing while driving every time your dad is on the show. Is that good or bad?
It's a good thing that she hasn't died laughing or crashing.
Yes. The two of you are too much. I personally would subscribe, rate, review, and share a show wherein Alan goes on, Ray, any number of topics, up to and including pandemics, pickled herring with or without creamy sauce, potatoes with mustard, God, etc. Then he can occasionally invite you on to argue for your short segments, insult you, and make you leave. Kidding, we love you too, Dave. Team Allen, dad of Dopey Nation. That's very, very sweet. Yeah.
Also, I have really loved all your female guests of late. Keep them coming. Toodles, Amy in Portland, Oregon. Sorry my dad blew your anonymity. Amy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nice going, Dad.
I thought this was one of those iTunes things.
My dad still hasn't figured out the difference between reviews and emails. What do you think about the tooth breaking incident?
Oh, yeah. All of a sudden, this is a monetary problem you have, right? And all of a sudden, you think that that I'm supposed to have some concern over your monetary worries like I always have?
I think that might be the case. This bridge could be the bridge that breaks us all.
This is the bridge too far, I think.
Here, you ready for here? Read this one, Dad. Here.
Can I say Matt's mom from Iowa?
You did.
Okay. Dave is the man. He has helped my son. He has helped my son immensely with his podcast. I don't think he could stay clean without it. Thank you so much for all your hard work. P.S. If I'm ever in New York, I'm going to take Alan out on a date. Whoa. He's quite the dish, Toodles.
Quite the dish, Whoa. Toodles.
That's very sweet. Also, very nice.
Get it out.
Listen, that guy that wrote that thing that you were talking about.
Which guy?
He was criticizing Dopey.
Did you read the thing?
I read it.
So here, take Ray's mic because you're making me crazy with this fucking shit.
Yeah.
And
yes.
and what is your take? What do you remember from that thing?
Well, I remember he wrote something saying how terrible it is to make fun and make light of addiction. And he was implying in his writing that that's what Dopey was doing, making fun and making light of addiction. And he based it on just listening to This American Life.
So you would say he's a totally fool, a total asshole, dumb piece of garbage who doesn't even listen to the thing he's writing about? Or would you say he's a terrible writer and a not good journalist?
I'm not going to say any of those things.
So you're saying he's just a piece of shit?
What I'm saying is that he has reached a conclusion without the proper amount of evidence, and that he is making statements without even thinking more about.
So I'm probably doing that by calling him a piece of shit also. Like maybe he's a good guy that he's taking a shortcut to lambasting Dopey.
Yeah, exactly. So
however, there was a lot of people. There's a lot of people that wrote comments on his thing from the Dopey Nation. I let it off with "You're a fucking dirtbag," but then a bunch of people wrote comments, and then
Intelligent comments.
And yeah, way more intelligent comments than mine.
Intelligent comments.
Yes, and I put my comment up, and this morning I was really excited to have Ray read the piece and then me go crazy about it, but he, in fear of the Dopey Nation, took it down. So congratulations, Dopey Nation, you've accomplished something great.
He took it down. It means nobody else can receive it.
It's over.
The
threat is over. But there's a new threat on the horizon, and we call that threat the coronavirus. Last week, my dad poo-pooed the coronavirus and said, don't worry about it. Now, 22 New Yorkers are locked in their apartment, maybe 139, actually. What's your take now, Professor Allen?
I never said don't worry about it. I say
he says nothing. It's not going to do anything.
I said don't panic about it. I said relax. Don't. I bought a lot of extra seltzer, by the way.
Nice.
To keep in the house. No, I don't think you should panic about it. And I think
you brought a bunch of jars of herring as well.
Yeah, I did. And
he stocked up on cookies too.
Yeah, I have extra cookies also. Yeah, it's not a panic. It's just trying to be prudent.
They've also installed Purell at the elevator now.
I noticed.
That's a new thing. And 4 of my parties have been canceled. 4 major corporations have shut down catering.
Yeah, well, the stock market went down another 1,000 points yesterday.
But you say don't panic.
Maybe you should not worry about that.
Well, I don't have any money invested, so I don't worry about that. But I say invest in Peloton, Netflix, Fresh Direct. Stay home, eat cookies, and enjoy.
You think Fresh Direct is going to work? Well, I don't think they have Fresh Direct out in the rest of the Dopey world.
I think they do, don't they?
I don't know.
Write an email to dopeypodcast@gmail.com.
What were you saying about Seattle, by the way?
It's a thing that happened in a text thread with my old friends.
I know, but Seattle is having the big problem with this virus.
All right, Dopey Nation in Seattle, stay safe.
Yes.
Dad, is there anything you'd like to add about the show? Oh, I think we're going to cancel DopeyCon in LA too. No. Yes. In fear, because we're on high alert. We can't be traveling now. Well, this is not the time to travel, Dad.
Not now, but in the future. I mean, come on.
One day when this thing blows over and the Planet of the Apes is resolved, we can get moving, but not right now.
In May and June, it could be perfectly fine to travel.
I think
I'm traveling in April. It looks like I am.
Terrible idea.
And
we're going to be clear about this. You should get head to toe, gloves, socks, ski mask, whatever.
No.
Just protect yourself. And I think the next month is really going to be the thing. Either things are going to get fucking haywire, hazmat suits in the streets.
They might cancel the thing I'm working on.
Maybe Ray won't be doing Dublin. He won't be doubling up. Maybe he won't be getting dentistry in Mexico.
Yeah, the project I'm working on right now might be canceled, which is Textile Market Week.
All I'm saying is, Dopey Nation, be safe out there. And then the other... Well, Dad, do you have anything else to add before we get rid of you here?
No. So stay strong, Dopey Nation.
Oh, then there's another thing before we get rid of you. Did you see the person in the Dopey Nation that found the Howard Stern thing?
Oh, yeah. Listen, I remember that. God, I remember even all the family was saying, was David on the Howard Stern show? And I said, I guess so. But it was at the end. I think he figured out that you were fooling around. At the beginning and the middle, he was pretty convinced.
Dave was very feisty too. He was like combative with Howard right off.
No, well, the point is that I think Howard Stern loved it. He thanked his mother. He thanked his father. He thanked everybody for him getting the award. It was just wonderful.
We're gonna play that in a minute. But a while back, I got an email or a post in the Dopey Nation saying how I shouldn't be on the show, how the show should be you guys. So why don't I give you guys 5 minutes and see how you do without me?
No, I'm sorry.
All right.
The show has to have you.
Okay. Thank you, Dad. Do you have anything else you want to say about anything?
Yeah, I want to get some coffee now.
Now, so should I play Howard Stern now?
Well, I want to say what...
I didn't think I was feisty.
Yeah, you were very... He was like, this guy's not going to be on for more than 2 minutes. You were like, wait a minute.
Well, what am I going to do?
Yeah, you sounded very cute. Your voice was very high.
The funniest thing about it to me, right, was, and you obviously can't hear it on the thing, I was riddled with drugs.
I was wondering if you were high.
I wasn't high. I had taken every drug. Like we had done heroin that night, coke. I think we did ecstasy at the beginning of the night, and we were stoned, and we were up all night because we had to get to it was at K-Rock
at like 4 a.m.
We had to get there at like 5:30.
Yeah.
I think we left the apartment at like 3.
Yeah.
And just like tripped and walked uptown. And when I got there, I think there was a great concert of the drugs working in my system, plus insane fear of going on Howard, that I was like, I was straight.
But the guy that was like talking shit about you, it's kind of like people would go like, I hate Howard Stern, and all they heard was like him throwing baloney at women's asses. Like they'd never heard the show.
Right.
That guy heard like a minute or something. But when Chris died and you asked me to come on like the next week,
right?
And I said yes, and then I texted you at like 7 a.m. and said I can't go. My coworkers listened to the show because I told my coworkers I'm going to do this thing, and they're like, you can't do that thing. That guy makes light of sobriety. If you go on there, you're going to die just like that guy died.
Terrible.
And that's why I didn't come.
Well, I've never made light of sobriety.
Well, you're like, they were joking about doing drugs, and then this guy died, and the other guy died.
Well, I mean, it was...
That was their take on it by not really knowing the show. Just knowing sort of, the bullet points.
The truth is, I never feel badly about the content of the show. Like, I don't. Because I've always felt incredibly... passionate about my recovery.
But you go to a meeting and you hear the same shit. You hear like people laughing, telling funny stories. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, but the point is, like, when we did what we did it for fun, and as a way to blow off steam.
Yeah.
And it turned out it actually helped people out, and people liked it. So it was like mission accomplished. If somebody else decides I don't meet their agenda, you know, I take everything very personally. But in reality, if I don't meet someone else's agenda, that's more their problem than our problem.
You're not going to meet their agenda in many ways in life.
Now, I want to play the Howard Stern show thing, but I also wanted to talk about something else with this coronavirus. And it reminded me of when I was using in the late 90s, I had this kind of sense that the world was going to end. You know, I felt like the world was ending. Bush was president. Y2K was coming. Like, and we were leading up to 9/11, and there were a lot of like crusty street punks in the street then, and there were a lot of movies about like the end of the world.
Yeah, Will Smith,
and like there was a movie called like with Liam Neeson, I think, like called End of Days or Dark Times, where they put like chips in their brains.
I hate those movies.
Yeah, but it's like I just really felt like the world was ending, and it didn't matter if I got high. And I bet you there's a shitload of people right now with this coronavirus who feel exactly the same way.
It's a good excuse.
It's a good excuse.
I hate those movies. I yelled at a movie set one time because they kept making movies about blowing up New York.
And that affected you.
And that affected my parking my car. I'm like, you're making this fucking movie about blowing up New York, and now you're like going to tow my car. Like, go blow up another city.
Wow. I felt like end of the world movies and drugs, it made me feel, not end of the world movies, just feeling like the world was going to end made it seem like it didn't matter if I participated in the world or not. And here we are, and this coronavirus is coming, and I have this kind of fear of New York shutting down. I was at a catering event yesterday in the Hudson Yards, which is this huge development of buildings and businesses and corporations, and it was pretty quiet there. And everyone kept saying as soon as there's one case of coronavirus in Hudson Yards, they're going to shut the whole thing down.
Yeah. Dave doesn't ride the subways, but the subways on Monday it was kind of normal. By Wednesday, the subways felt really weird.
I ride the Long Island Railroad, and every time I cough, I think I'm giving everybody the coronavirus. I also hang out with these Dominicans. It's like they come to work. I mean, and I'm not putting down Dominicans. I love Dominicans. But for some reason, each meat cutter that I worked with this week had the worst cough I've ever heard. I'm like, dude, why the fuck are you here?
Yeah.
You know?
And then if they don't come in, they don't get paid, right? Or does Cats give you sick time?
You can get sick time, but we have there's a work ethic, and people come in, but it's like, don't go to work if you're fucking sick right now.
Well, that's who's going to be the one. It's someone handling food is going to be the one that gives it to 1,000 people.
Now, there's a lot of things to play. I just said I'm going to play the Howard Stern show thing, and I had recorded something with my buddy Toast from work. What do you want to hear first, the Howard Stern show thing or my buddy Toast?
Well, Toast intrigues me.
All right, so we'll play Toast. So me and Toast just did a catering job in fucking Pennsylvania, and I've been trying to get Toast to come on the show for a long time, and here he is telling a classic tale of his past.
Yep, what's up, Dopey Nation? Yeah, so, well, like I was telling Dave, one time,
you have to understand that Toast used to run the Lower East Side. He used to sell crazy heroin on the Lower East Side, correct?
Correct. So
never to me, though, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think I ever met Dave. So back in 80, 90, it was about 96.
That was before my time.
96, that's when the hydro got a little populated down in New York. People didn't really know what it was when it was coming there. It was that real sticky hydro that
the first really crazy indoor bud in New York
that you had to smoke in a joint. So, two of my brother-in-laws, they were in the dope game, and I used to help one of my brother-in-laws. So one of my brother-in-laws, the feds came to pick him up, and it's like they running around the projects. So his mother calls my mother and lets her know that the feds is like all over the building. So my mother, she didn't know I had a couple pounds of weed, a gun, some heroin in the house. So we lived on the 13th floor. So she's like, yo, the feds they coming into the building. So I got scared. I just started throwing everything out the window. I threw a couple of pounds of weed, the gun, the dope, right out the window. Then I run right after that, right down the stairs. I'll pick up all my shit, and I'll run to my boy's store. And, he don't know what's in the bag.
Hold on. You throw everything out the window, and then you're like, why did you go downstairs to get it? Because you were upset that you threw it out the window?
I just didn't want to lose my shit.
But when you threw it in the first place, what were you thinking?
I just didn't want them to come raid my mother's house and lock me up with a couple pounds of hydro. And on top of that, at that time, a pound of dro was like $9,000. So I'm like, I won't lose like almost 30 grand right here. So I pick all my shit up. I'm mad scared too because there's feds all over the place. And I just go to my boy's store. I tell him, yo, can you hold this bag for me? And I waited till shit cooled down, and I'm finding out what's going on, who the feds is picking up. They picked up a bunch of people. Then I went and got my shit, and later on that night, I went upon my business, and that's it. I was like, thank God the feds didn't pick me up. I was like, she's shit out of luck. Yep.
There's another Dopey story from the great Toast.
Yep, thank you.
There's Toast.
Toast.
I have to say, Toast is born on June 1st, like me.
Yeah.
And I've worked with him for 12 years. He's the best. I love Toast. What do you think of the story?
It's great. It's like another time. I mean, I'm sure it's a bit like that now, but those Avenue D projects, they were like a world unto themselves.
And they still are, I bet.
You cross Avenue D and you're now, and you've left New York, you're in that world.
You're in 1978.
Yeah.
The second you're in Avenue D in those projects, you're in 1978.
Yeah, and I love how, like, the moms are all involved, and, it's like that. But the thing is, they changed the law that if anyone that is listed as living in this apartment is convicted of, I don't know if it's a crime or a drug crime, then everyone loses the apartment. If the mom is there and her son gets convicted,
the family is out.
And that, I'm sure, changed a lot of this, of like the moms, say all this, I'm sure some people got thrown out, and I'm sure that changed the projects. And I'm sure like people still do that.
I know that the last time, like when I had come back from California, I didn't want to be using heroin, and I wasn't using heroin. And like Todd, who we talked about, who is my old friend who I used to get high with, who wound up dying almost 2 years ago, was delivering weed around the city. And him and I had used a ton of heroin, but he wasn't using heroin. And I think I wanted to show off to him. And I always was like, if you want heroin, even if I don't have a connection, I can get you heroin. And he was like, and I don't know.
Just go down to D.
Yeah, he was like, well, let's get it, And I said, okay, come meet me at Katz's. So and I didn't know what I was going to do, but I figured I was just going to go to Avenue D. And the two of us walked to Avenue D, and I did my big line, which I always did when I was copping heroin, which is, I don't want to freak you out, but do you have any heroin? And I met a couple dudes who did, and they took us into those projects, and they were like, wait here in the stairwell. And he went upstairs probably to his mom's apartment, and he came down and he gave us a bunch of dope. And me and Todd, I think I sniffed a bag in the cab with him. And I got so high going up, or maybe we sniffed a bag in the stairwell.
It was pure.
It was strong, and I hadn't done it in a long time.
Yeah.
And we walked up the East River, and that's another thing that I have to say. For me, when I in the past, when I wasn't doing heroin and I did heroin, I didn't love how heroin felt. It was just so strong. It was like almost way too much for me.
The last time I did heroin, it didn't feel good.
And I remember walking up the East River with Todd, and it's just like the end of the world. It's just like broken bottles everywhere,
man.
Garbage, people. It's a mess.
You can't imagine what the East Village was like.
And I'm getting fucking high. Like the heroin is hitting me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I can't believe I did this again. I can't believe that I had gotten off of it and I'm on it. And I knew I didn't have to do it again.
Right.
But I wound up relapsing really badly. But it was an Avenue D story.
Just because you said to Todd, Watch what I can do.
Sort of. And
I can do magic.
That happened a couple times with him because I don't know. I think it was just the fun of the chase. Like, it's another reason that Dopey even exists.
That was part of it, is that going over there and like finding it when you didn't know. Like when you knew the place to go, but then when you didn't know the place to go, then it's like, I know it's here somewhere.
And you're like on an adventure.
Yeah.
You're a pioneer. But what you don't realize, I mean, like, this thing killed Todd. This thing killed Chris.
Yeah.
There's so many people who are listening.
Did Todd die of fentanyl?
Yeah, he died of fentanyl. Todd had gone to sober living for a month. He got bored. He went home. He got a job working at a farmer's market. And one night he drove to Schenectady to cop. I think he copped 2 fucking bags. He probably did them in his car. He probably threw the bags out in the garbage on the way upstairs. Yeah. And his parents found him naked, dead. With no bags, and they couldn't figure out what had happened. But the way Todd was, he was very careful.
Yeah.
And it killed him. And Todd was one of my best friends, and I think about him every day. And I don't think Dopey is to minimize the story. I think it's to reflect on the lives that we live, and the consequences are either death or total misery. I mean, there was a guy on the show named Don, who we called him DJ when he was on the show. He was on the show in the very beginning, and he told this crazy story about stealing Vicodin, and he was on methadone, and he couldn't get clean, and he was on the show. He sounded pretty good. He was a waiter in New York at Nobu, and he had gotten... he was living on methadone, not using anything else for a long time. He went home. He's been struggling, trying to get clean over and over and over. He's still using. And it looks like our next Dopey scholarship, our next Toodles for Chris scholarship is going to be Don going to Aloe. I think Aloe is going to take him for 6 months. Don sent me a picture last night of his abscesses, and they are so bad. And then I sent him a picture of my missing tooth, thinking I was tough, but it really doesn't compare.
Have you been to Avenue D lately?
No. The last time I was at Avenue D was that day.
They have all these guard towers with like searchlights, with generators, and it's like a prison. And
why were you there?
I went to the park over there.
Why?
With a friend to look at the river.
Oh, you mean the river park across that?
Yeah. So you cross that, and there's every half block, there's a guard tower that's like 20 feet tall with a guard where there with a gun and these floodlights, and it goes all night, like it's all lit up.
Well, it's also because rich people go to that park to run, and the East River Park.
But
so it's
the projects in Brooklyn are the same way. They have these guard towers all around them like it's a prison. It's really weird.
Well, I don't know about it, but it sounds bad. And I drive by there all the time. A lot of the guys I work with still live there.
Yeah.
So for them, it's just the Ave.
Yeah.
That's what they say. They live on the Ave.
I ride the Avenue D bus.
Why?
To go across town on 14th Street.
But do you ever go over to the Ave?
No.
And what were you doing at the park? Just checking out the river?
Yeah, just enjoying the day. Yeah.
All right. I am going to... We have...
I was copping dope.
He texted me last week about copping dope. And 2 weeks ago, you were smoking crack. So what are you laughing about? Is it so crazy that you would cop dope?
No, not at all.
And 3 weeks before that, you were hoping you'd get fentanyl.
Yep.
So let's deal with this thing. This thing is real.
Look what a miracle.
You are a miracle, Ray. So Ray is one of the many musicians who sent in music for the show. And another musician who sent in music for the show is a dude I knew from rehab in Florida named Harold. He did the punk rock one. Do you know that one?
Yeah, I know that one.
Anyway, Harold just celebrated a year, and I talked to him for a little bit.
Oh, congratulations, Harold.
Here's Harold. All right. I don't know if you guys know this guy, Dopey Nation, but he's been on the show before. I met Harold. I want to say I met you like fucking 20 years ago, 15 years ago. How long has it been, Harold?
It's been about 20 years.
Yeah, I met Harold like 20 years ago in the great state of Florida in the great rehab of Renaissance. Harold is responsible for the punk rock Dopey theme song. Harold, do you want to sing it for real quick? Sing a few bars?
Oh, my God. I don't.
I'll do it.
Really
Dopey podcast,
but,
we're all in. So live.
Oh, God, I can't hear it now. No.
My bad.
Dopey podcast, Dopey Nation, we're all in. Dopey Nation. I'm like, I don't really want to just belt it out.
Dude, that sounds good. I'm happy. I love that. I love that jingle. So Harold
Good jingle.
is celebrating right now. Why don't you tell us what's going on, man?
Yeah, so I celebrated a year last week. I recounted my days because I tried unsuccessfully to have a interdimensional DMT experience.
That was the relapse, though, right?
The possibility of DMT being this, like, you know, vehicle to another dimension that is real and not accessible through, like, any other means known to man at this time was so seductive. It was such a seductive idea that I eventually succumbed to that. But I haven't used anything else. I mean, I only tried to do it once, and I've been sober off of heroin and crack and Xanax, my drugs of choice, since July 18th, 2017. And on 2/25, I celebrated a year again now.
Well, congratulations. But I have a couple questions. First of all,
Yeah.
let's hear about how was the interdimensional DMT relapse?
Well, it was very, I didn't trip because, okay, so, you know, I have some friends that are into it, and they're really rad people. I love them. They're super cool. And I kind of been over hanging out with them, and they had like a supply that lasted, I mean, a long time, and they, a lot of different, you know, it was, I don't know how much they had. They must have a shitload of it. But anyway, whatever. So I would kind of go into that environment, sort of like, I know you're going to want to do this DMT, but don't do it. Like, yeah, maybe it's not a relapse. You know, Bill Wilson, like LSD, all that kind of shit. And I was very curious about it. It was, I guess you'd say I didn't have a step one solid around it. I wouldn't have used anything else at that point, but I counted it as a relapse because in that moment, it was like, don't do that DMT. And then I was like, give me a hit of that shit.
Right. But you didn't really trip off of it, you're saying. You're saying you didn't.
They're like, we found the best way to do it is as a dab. So I did this dab of DMT. It was like, I really wanted to break through. So I tried to take this huge hit.
Right.
And I haven't hit anything in a while. And it was just like this really big hit. And then you have to hold it in. Like, you have to really try to hold it in for as long as you can. And in my case, I just immediately coughed this hit. So I quickly kind of entered into a state of panic. Like, holy shit, Harold, what did you just do? You just did a stupid drug at a fucking party. Like, really? Another drug? That's what you need? That's what you needed to do? Another stupid fucking drug? Really? You? Of all people? Like, no. And try to play it cool. I was freaking out inside, just like, oh my God, what's going to happen now? Tried to play it cool, like waited 15 or 20 minutes, left, called my sponsor, was hysterical. Thank God he answered. It was late. I fucking, you know. And it was like, it was really scary for a while, for a couple of weeks or a month. It was like, I didn't want to disclose. I didn't want to have to pick up a white tree tag, all that kind of shit, you know. And eventually I started telling more people about it. I eventually picked up a white key tag, and you know, it was fortunate. It was very fortunate. I feel like, you know, I mean, I don't want, you know, like you could possibly attest it to a higher power thing, because prior to that, I had, you know, I've watched documentaries, and it's just been this thing that I really want to go to this other dimension. I really want to have that experience. And like, now that I've attempted it and it didn't actually have the experience, which potentially is what kept me from using other drugs. I don't know. But the whole thing of like, is DMT a relapse for me has now become very clear in my mind. And I'm not curious about doing DMT now like I was. I'm
right.
like, okay.
You know, I
tried that.
I had a super similar experience where I was like in between kind of like using. I think I was actually sober, and a buddy of mine came up with some DMT, and I had the exact same situation as you did. And I was like, I'm going to smoke the DMT because I've always wanted to smoke DMT, and here it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I smoked it, and he wasn't dabbing it. It was like a 50-year-old guy who got it from like a 60-year-old chemist, and he smoked it in one of those old protopipes, those metal protopipes. And I smoked it in one of those, and I got high, and I held it in, and I did all that shit, but it wasn't like another dimension. It was just like a crazy visual audio trip. You know what I'm saying? It was not, I didn't find it to be another dimension. It was like a very crazy visual audio trip, and it lasted like 10, 15 minutes. And then afterwards I was like, fuck, So I had a similar experience. Did you find that after you picked up the white key tag, you got into your recovery more again?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely got into my recovery more again, and I hadn't totally left the recovery process, which I think also is, I mean, yeah, it's I definitely, like, it was like, oh, dude, I'm counting days. Like, so that was like a reality. Like, fuck, dude, I'm counting fucking days. So it was like, I definitely like got real scared and very much like, oh shit, this is like scary and embarrassing, or I didn't want to lose my rep or whatever the fuck it is. I mean, I was like, as upset as I might be about that, if we can just not go any further, that's going to be a miracle. That's going to be fantastic. And what do I need to do in order for that to happen? So yeah, I definitely like day counting, maybe 90 and 90, like definitely tried to make sure that was going to be an isolated incident, and feeling like I would probably be lucky if it turned out to be.
I always thought that you and I also had in common this like disdain for recovery, even though we needed it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, fuck, I have to do this. Like, I remember like both of us kind of approached the program and like, I can't believe I have to do this kind of thing, which is probably why we've been doing it for so long,
Yeah.
The resistance is high in us, and I'm happy. You sound great. I'm happy you got the year. And also, Harold does this very, very cool clothing brand called Health Collective 666, where he did this Dopey, limited run Dopey shirt. He has 1 million, or at least 10. How many shirts do you have, Harold?
Designs out there, I think I have like 8.
There's 8 super fresh designs, and you could check it out on Instagram at Health Collective _666, right?
Yeah, it's at Health Collective 666, no underscore.
No underscore. Sorry, Harold. My bad.
It's sick. The brand is called Health Collective. The IG is Health Collective 666. There's healthcollective666.com. Check it out.
Nice.
It's fucking sick if you don't already know.
Tell the Dopey story you were going to tell.
About one of the gnarliest fucking experiences I ever had on drugs?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so, oh, my God. The worst drug experience I ever had was in New York City. I had gotten a hold of some speed, which isn't really that big on the East Coast, at least not compared to how it is here in LA, where I now live. And I really liked it. I did a small amount, and I liked it, and I wanted to get some more. I kind of went back to these people that I got it from, and they were like street kids, like New York street kid junkies, not the most trustworthy people. And right away, the whole experience, it was like, it felt really off to me. This girl who's a psycho was trying to act really nice. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And we're like waiting for this, this person to come to bring this meth. And I just, something in my gut was like, this is not right. And it was almost like a higher power thing, an intuition thing. And somehow in this process of waiting the cop, I was like, fuck it, I'm out of here. And this girl started freaking out. And I was about to just bail on the whole thing. And then the dude we were waiting for was just showing up at that moment. And he played it off really cool. He was like, hey, man, sorry about her. She's crazy. Like, here you go. So I paid, I forgot, $20 for some sack of something. but I was hoping it was going to be meth. And I don't really know what it was. I'm thinking maybe whatever. So I snort this shit in a bathroom, like some public restaurant. I don't know, some restroom, wherever I could. The closest fucking restroom I could find. I was on 14th Street, kind of on the west side, in Manhattan, and I just found whatever bathroom, snorted it, and was like, "What the fuck? What the fuck is going on? This isn't weed. Like, what is this shit?" And it felt really like soapy or something, and weird, and was sort of stuck in my nose. And in that moment, I somehow came to a conclusion, because I was already very spooked. So I had entered it with this weird energy, this intuition telling me I really shouldn't be doing this. And it was so alarming that as this psychoactive drug, which is probably some kind of research chemical bath salt, started to take hold in my mind, that mixed with the weird taste of soap or something in my nose and the fear that I had, I instantly concluded that God was trying to give me a one last chance, and I didn't listen. And what had happened was that I had overdosed and died in that bathroom. And at this point, whatever horrible paranoid thought came to me manifested itself as reality in a way that I was, prior to that, completely unfamiliar with. So I had never experienced, I mean, I've done acid and mushrooms, and it's like, you're tripping, you see shit, it blends and morphs into other shit. You kind of know you're having an experience that's a drug. In my case, the hallucinations, which were extraordinarily vivid, they did not look like acid type of hallucinations. And I was convinced that I had died and gone to hell. And it was this very convoluted scenario, and it was sort of a mix of paranoid fears. It was like the New York City had become a concentration camp, and there was barbed wire everywhere. It was this sort of mix of like this demonic totalitarian force had taken over the city.
Right.
And this is what hell was. It was like the singularity. My mind had been uploaded to the internet, and there was no way to get offline. That's how this eternal thing would play out. And because the powers that be, demonic and otherwise, had full act, they could press any button and make me feel any kind of physical pain, like as a byproduct of some kind of neurochemical experience. And it was so horrible. And there were demons, and the city, it was like a 3-day thing where I was walking around the city, and every block, every restaurant, every little thing would take on a different theme. It was sort of like a carnival ride where I would have to accept some kind of horrible punishment for eternity. So one place was like a public pool, and I looked into the public pool in Williamsburg, and I could see this thing that they're like used for handicapped people to get in the pool. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to get in that thing and just stay underwater for eternity. And I'll experience the sensation of drowning, but for eternity.
Right.
And I could hear saws and screams, and they were so vivid. And it was people having their limbs cut off and tortured. And it was so horrific and bizarre. Like there was a construction site, and I somehow got this idea that if I chose that reality, they were going to take my body and sort of stretch my body and turn my body into this building. And it would be extraordinarily painful because, my bones would be ripped apart and become steel structure, and I'd have to endure the cold and I'd have to support the weight of this building. And it would be like this extraordinary, painful, eternal experience. And they were all so horrible and so terrifying that I just couldn't bring myself to accept any of them. There was the reality was just too gnarly. And so as a result of me not being able to accept these punishments, in my mind, I was seeing people, actual human beings with their arms cut off. And they were looking at me and they were so fucking pissed. They're like, you fucking pussy. Because you're not willing to man up and accept your fucking punishment. Now we're being hurt for it. We're having our limbs fucking sawed off, and it's your fault. Dude, it was just horrible.
That's a crazy, that's like the most traumatic psychedelic fucking experience ever.
Terrible,
yeah.
That was PTSD for sure.
How did you come down off that?
Well, it's kind of strange. So my, this whole time, I mean, I was just a person walking around. Like, my mom calls my phone, right? This is like 2 days into it. I answer the phone, and I am so sincerely, absolutely so sincerely apologizing to my mom. I'm so sorry that I died and went to hell. I'm so fucking sorry.
What did she say?
I don't remember, but she got really scared, and she called like the police department in New York, and somehow she got in touch with this police officer who himself had like a brother who died of an overdose, and so he went on some weird thing, and they went to the park living in, which I wasn't in at the time, kicked down the door, which they're not allowed to do. So they didn't find me that way, and then my dad ended up coming up there, and I remember talking to my dad, and I was like, "You don't want to come to New York? Like, Dad, if you come to New York, do you know what happened? Like, if you come here, you're not going to be able to leave. It's this totalitarian state. It's a constant, just barbed wire everywhere. You can't leave if you come. Like, I don't know if you're aware of that, but you might not want to come up here."
And your dad's
so my dad comes up, and I somehow end up meeting up with him, and it's like, it looks like my dad, but I think he's probably a demon that looks like my father, and it was pretty bad. I think I was about to jump off of the building, and my dad's I was literally going to kill myself. I was out of my mind, and my dad grabbed me, and the police came and the EMS, and they brought me to a mental hospital, and somehow I was sane enough to know, like, I can't fight these police officers or whatever.
Right.
I just kind of surrendered, but this trip was still sort of playing out in my mind, and I was in, a psychiatric ER, and still freaked out, looking at my dad, looking at these people, like, this is all part of the trip, but, like, wanting it to just be the drugs. Like, I'm like, please just be the drugs, but, like, it was so real,
right?
That and then I kept getting these weird signs that confirmed, this and that event proves that this is not hallucination. This is a real thing that's happening. I got into a fight with someone in the psych ER, someone else who was bugged out. Our energies sort of collided, and I guess I was like, this is it. I'm going to have to fight this demon. Like, fuck it. I'm going to go all out. So I got into this fight, and that process was like injected with some kind of sedative that knocked me out for a day or so. When I woke up, it was over, dude.
It was like she hit you with the antipsychotic that you needed.
I was like,
yeah,
dude, thank God that was it. It was so real. It was the realest, most horrific. Any paranoid thing I would think would just be real. There'd be visual hallucinations, which were completely vivid, but corroborated it. It was fucking awful, man.
It's obviously like it's the most it's like heroin sometimes feels good, pot sometimes feels good. This story is like the reason not to fucking do drugs. You know what I mean? It's like I had like small versions of that, but that's fucking terrible story. I'm glad you're sober. I love you, Harold.
For real.
You know what I'm saying?
So gnarly. Oh God.
All right. Well, thank you for bringing the Dopey. Check out healthcollective.com. And Harold, you got to give us another song, okay?
I will. I'll work on it for sure.
For sure, man. What are you playing music? You have the band back together or what?
Yeah, I'm working on a music project. It's called We Finance Everyone. I'm recording some songs right now with some friends, and I'm just looking forward to doing some shows in the future soon.
Right on, man. Just fucking be in touch. And whatever you ever need, let me know.
For sure. Good to talk to you, Dave.
Always good to talk to you, Harold. I'll talk soon.
Take care.
Later. So it's Harold with the Dopey.
Whoa, that was amazing. That was dark.
Yeah.
I don't understand how those drugs, who wants those drugs?
I think metalheads want those drugs. I think people
who wants that drug twice?
Some people I don't know. I know that for me, I like drugs that make me worry less, be like feel comfortable
Yeah.
and safe. I don't like drugs that make me feel heightened and crazy.
Right. Or if you want to trip out, then you trip out and you see pretty colors.
Like I've always said about psychedelics.
And like taste music.
I liked psychedelics when I was a kid because I felt like it was like a quest.
Yeah.
And I went someplace. But as I got older, I decided it was way too much work.
I started to see some dark shit on psychedelics, and I never did them again.
Well, that was Harold. And Harold said his drugs of choice were heroin, crack, and Xanax. You know, this was a departure.
Heroin, crack, and yeah, okay, those are feel good drugs.
Well, I never felt that good from crack, but I also have to say that I never, you know, I always say how little I like cocaine in my experience.
But I wish Harold would write that down. That was epic.
All right, Harold, write it down. Harold's got a million Dopey stories.
Okay.
And Harold also like is a musician who like when I met him, he had one of those Kurt Cobain Jaguar guitars.
Oh wait, Harold did that punk Dopey.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Harold should do that as a song. Yeah.
All right, Harold, do it as a song. I got a couple other things. Ray's confessing his love affair to me now. That when he sleeps with this man, they have their mouths together, but they're not kissing. They're just recirculating each other's breath
For hours.
So what I'm telling you, Ray, number one is it's too much gay shit on Dopey. Number one. I'm just kidding. I love you. I love gay shit on Dopey. Number two, you got to be careful. This is dependency. You're using this guy to make you feel okay with being you.
To make us both feel good.
You know what I'm talking
We're
about.
holding each other tight.
Do you understand what I'm talking about?
Not really.
There is a danger. You went from one dude who didn't meet your expectations, so you went ballistic.
To another dude who totally, like, beyond my expectations.
But so was the first one. I was there for the salad days of him, and it was a grim foreshadowing of what was to come.
This one is cool. This one is casual.
I'm just saying be careful.
We're not exclusive.
Dopey Nation.
I've got sex dates in Dublin already.
Well, Dublin sex dates, if you're
lining
listening,
them up.
send us an email to dopeypodcast@gmail.com.
Rate me 5 stars.
Oh, my God. Ray's thinking about changing his profession from painter, singer, songwriter to
a whore,
to professional male gigolo.
Yes. A lot of guys say to me, like, you're the best I've ever had. I'm like, if I could only get money out of
You
this.
can.
I am.
But listen.
But then you're not fucking who you want to fuck.
Well, listen.
But I saw a video where they were testing the drugs at a concert, and everybody had ecstasy, and they tested it, and they're like, this is bath salts. And I'm like, this festival is going to go crazy when everybody starts taking this. And some people just threw it away, and some people were like, oh, I'm going to keep it anyway.
Have you ever done bath salt?
No.
Bath salt was at its height when I met Chris.
That's what Harold was on.
I think so.
Variation.
Some dissociative thing. I don't even know.
Or ketamine.
You know, somebody reminded me of my old ketamine stories. Did you ever hear my old ketamine stories?
I think so.
The worst one was they had replaced the heroin with ketamine.
Oh, yeah.
And when I would take it, I would sleepwalk around my apartment.
Yes, yeah.
And the one time I had shot the ketamine, and I woke up outside of my apartment, and the thing that I was like in a trance, and I woke up, and there was no crazy scary stuff, but I woke up because of the sound of my front door closing behind me.
Yeah.
And I'm standing out there in my underwear, and I had to go downstairs and call my father, who had to come over in the middle of the night with my keys.
Next door.
No. I was living in Grand Street. I was living on the Lower East Side, and the apartment closing woke me up. It was insane.
Yeah, I've heard crazy ketamine stories in Dublin. I'm like, why would you want that? It's like horrible.
But more importantly, Dopey Nation, if you're as concerned about dear brother Ray as I am, please drop an email and about sex and love addiction, dopeypodcast@gmail.com.
I've been having great conversations with Dopey Nation people, like some serious, some lighthearted, and people reaching out for help, which I followed through a bit, and I feel bad I haven't followed through. There was a woman wrote to me from Idaho, and
she wrote me too.
Oh, okay, so I hope she's doing good. And then just people like chatting. It's really nice, like people from Dopey Nation contacting me just to say hello or to talk about like
where they're at.
I was talking to this guy yesterday who was like, he's driving a gigantic mining equipment, like one of those
Borer machines.
Yeah, that's like 20 times the size of a bulldozer. And I'm like, that looks so much fun. I'm here painting this like intricate thing. I'm like, I want out of this place. But it's really nice to talk to people all over the world.
Wow, it's amazing. It is truly like a pseudo fellowship. But what I want to say to anybody who's struggling and is reaching out to me or you, I think it's great to reach out to anybody in recovery. I think it's great to go to meetings because what the fuck?
And I looked at the meetings in Idaho are few and far between.
Well, that's an interesting thing. And then I think the old alt recovery movement deserves a little bit of spin.
Which is Dopey Nation.
Which Dopey Nation is a big part of the alt recovery movement.
You see people going, I don't go to meetings. I just go on Dopey Nation, and that's my recovery.
Anything that you can do that makes you feel better, I say you do it. I think there's so much joy to be found outside of using, and inside of using, there's a little bit of joy, but then it comes with this fucking price tag of slavery. And slavery is not an easy thing to live with, and it gets progressively worse. Obviously, I do not recommend anybody doing anything they don't want to do, but I also recommend giving the shit a chance. You give it a chance, you let it build. I always think of recovery as a bucket, and when you first get into it, your bucket is empty, and the other side of the seesaw is a lifetime of using, and you want to just put a little bit of your life into the bucket until you're invested. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Have you ever gone to an online meeting?
Never.
Because I suggested that to some people who were in places without a lot of meetings. And I looked at it, and I didn't do it, but it looks like it's pretty cool.
Well, I've heard about people going on online meetings. I know. And then people have asked me about good old Hot Wheels. And I spoke to Hot Wheels in the last month. I think he's doing good. We've tried to have him call in here and there, and it's probably been my fault. But big shout out to Mr. Brian Hot Wheels. We love you, and I hope you're doing well. And he does online meetings. Oh, yeah? And I know some people in the Dopey Nation have been trying to set up a Dopey meeting.
Is it like Skype?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know about that shit. I go to Alcoholics Anonymous. What do you want from me? I say do whatever you can. I want to play a couple more things before we go. Do you want to hear? There's a dude in Arizona called Chris Taylor who was running for Congress, and he overdosed. And
was that in the news?
It was in the news, and friend of the show, friend of the show.
Vote for Chris.
Joe Schrank calls in to drop the story. You want to hear?
Yeah.
Great. So on the phone, we have huge super friend of the show, Joe Schrank. Welcome back on the show.
Thanks, man. I feel like I'm I have a Dopey tattoo, which was partially to honor and remind me of Chris. But, I don't think a lot of your listeners have tattoos, do they?
I think 10 of them do. So you're in the top 10% of our audience.
Yeah. No, I know some of them do because I've seen them, but
dude, it's above and beyond.
There can't be that many who are that dedicated.
No, you are Super Friend. You remember the old cartoon, The Super Friends? You're one of the Super Friends. And you're always very helpful to me, and I always appreciate your input and your insight, and I know how much Chris loved you and how much Chris really he believed in you. You know what I'm saying? You were a great mind for him to reflect to me about. So I love it when you come on the show because it reminds me of him.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And me and Joe were talking the other day, and Joe told me this crazy story about this dude in Arizona, also named Chris. Do you want to tell the Dopey Nation about it?
Yeah, it's not. Look, it's not an uncommon story. He's a young guy. I have a real soft spot for vets because, I grew up with my dad who did 2 tours in Vietnam and never got his shit together after that. So this guy did, he did a couple tours in Afghanistan, lots of trauma. He kind of got lost in the VA system, which is overwhelmed. And, my personal opinion is that we don't do a very good job of taking care of them. You teach somebody to kill humans as a political or defense need, and then you bring them home and say, "Oh, hey, there's a job fair for Home Depot."
Right.
It's kind of inadequate. So he kind of went down that rabbit hole with chronic injuries and pain, and started with the opiates and so on and so forth. And then he did really well for a long time, as many of us do. And, he's on local city council, and he started some kind of organization to help vets with their addictions.
And the guy's name
is
is Chris Taylor. Chris Taylor, we're talking about.
Chris Taylor, running for Congress in the 1st district in Arizona, which is kind of a rural, massive land district. So lots of those kinds of issues. And then he overdosed. Luckily, they hit him with Narcan, and he's okay. But, the story just kind of caught my eye because I think that there's a lot of those guys out there. They're not all running for Congress, and it's not all going to be in the press for that reason. But I think that they deserve, I think they deserve better. And B, I don't think the guy needs to be ridiculed in the press. He has a young wife and 2 little kids. And so it's just a really hard situation. So I've been trying to talk to him, and I told him, look, we can't talk politics because it's very red state, his agenda. But, we can talk about you getting better, and I'll leave the red state up to you when you're back on your feet.
Right on. So what do we want from the Dopey Nation specifically? What can they do to help?
Google him. Look at his website. Send him a message of hope. Send him a message of, inspiration. Just, we all need that. And we don't do that enough for each other. When I go to court with a client and there's other cases, like just for an example, if it's a domestic violence case, there's the domestic violence advocacy group that comes into the court, right? There's never a recovery advocacy group that says, this guy shouldn't be in prison. He should be in treatment. And so I think that just as a community, we all need to do more of that. And, look, he has a website. I forget what it is, Chris Taylor for Arizona or something. And people can leave a message there or find him on Facebook.
Right.
Or,
and politics and military service notwithstanding, he's one of us. He's an addict who's struggling, and throw him a line. Throw him a what's up. Throw him some love.
Correct.
And
throw in some love. Throw in some. And honestly, I think that recovery might be the one of few places where red and blue America overlap.
We'll call it purple.
It's like
purple America.
Like, okay, I get. No, I don't want to talk about the wall, man. I really don't. But I think that you should have good care, and I think you should get a chance, and I think you should be present for your family. And there's a lot of things that we can agree on.
Well, how to try to enjoy your life without getting high. That's what we're talking about. Finding some peace or finding some love and finding some happiness, right?
Correct. And finding, I think that people who have issues with mental health in general and specifically with addictions are often very bright, dynamic people. We need an advocate in Congress. Look, I hope he makes it. I hope he gets back. I hope he runs in some other election cycle. I hope he can tell his story, and I hope he can advocate for recovery causes in Congress, because we don't have that, and we should.
Right. There are not many out addicts in the political sphere, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. And even if they were out, I don't think that people have to be necessarily directly impacted to be an advocate. Who's the congressional member saying, okay, we need to stop this criminal thing. These people are not criminals. We need to shift gears and put at a global or at a macro level policy the knowledge, values, and skills of public health, because that's really what we're dealing with. People get better when they're treated as patients. They get worse when they're treated as criminals. That doesn't mean we don't need to be held accountable for criminal behavior, but having the issue of addiction in and of itself is not crime, and it shouldn't be treated as crime. Right.
All right. How are you doing, Joe, by the way?
I'm good, man. Working on some stuff, doing my thing. I'm in LA, which, it's always funny what's an emergency here. Like, I always find this culture funny because, like, if somebody's running down the street in New York, something bad happened.
Right.
Like somebody had a heart attack. If somebody's running down the street here, it's like an Olsen twin lost their charger.
Right.
So it's like, it's crazy what an emergency is in LA. But, here I am, and I'm working on some projects to be determined, and I'm happy to tell you about at the right time.
All right.
And we'll see.
We'll look forward to it, Joe. And check out Chris Taylor, everybody. And I love, Joe, your advocacy is great, and the tattoo is great, and thank you.
Thank you. And hi to the nation. And yes, you know what, nation? Do something not, outside yourself today, and send a message to Chris Taylor.
Right on, Joe. Thanks, man.
Okay. Take care.
So, yes, please send compassion to Chris Taylor. All of us, anybody who's struggling deserves compassion, I'd say. And in other news, Josh, first Dopey scholarship, Toodles for Chris scholarship, is now in aftercare.
Oh.
Provided free of cost by Transcend Recovery.
What is aftercare?
It's like after you get out of treatment, so
like
you don't go home and get high.
Sober living type of thing?
Yeah, it's like a sober living. And he's there for 60 days in Venice, California.
Wait, he went from Connecticut to Venice?
He went from Wisconsin at negative 25 degrees to Mountainside to Transcend Recovery.
Nice.
Meanwhile, Charlotte is in her first few weeks at Turnbridge in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And she's doing great. I sent her some Dopey shit, and she's like, everyone there knows Dopey. Lots of places people don't know Dopey, but at Turnbridge they know Dopey.
I was kind of worried about Josh to get out, and then where are you?
The truth is, I'm still worried about Josh. Well,
we're worried about everybody.
I'm worried about Josh. He's licking his wounds. It's I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that feeling of getting sober and wondering when they get high again. And I love Josh. I hear from him all the time. I worry about him. And anybody who's in the beginning of recovery, try going to meetings.
Well, I have a very good friend who has been the worst alcoholic drug addict as long as I've known him. And then I got sober, and he would say, every night, he'd be like, Ray, I need help. I need to talk to you. And I would say, text me tomorrow. We'll go to a meeting. And I fucking gave up on this guy. I wrote him off. He's one of the unfortunates. And this went on for years and years and years. And I was like, he's just going to die. I said that to all my friends. He went to rehab, and I thought, well, he's going to get out of rehab and immediately relapse. He was, he has over 90 days. He's fucking texting. He's holding me up. He's texting me every day, taking me to meetings, saying, how are you? He totally got it. He's over 90 days now. He was in rehab for 30 days.
There's no reason. When I got sober, you had a year or something, remember?
Yeah.
And you helped me, and then I get to help you. That's what we all get to do. Yeah. Anybody who has their shit together helps somebody else, and anybody who is struggling, reach out to somebody that got better. Because anybody that got better, all we can do to preserve ourselves is to help you.
Yeah. The woman in Idaho, she said, I can't believe you must think I'm a nut. I'm a total stranger, and I wrote to you. And I was like, I asked a total stranger for help, and he helped me. So there you go.
That's the deal. And speaking of people getting better, I want to play another. This is what we're going to do. Show's almost over.
I have to go.
Ray has to go. I want to play one more voicemail from Tim from Philly, longtime listener, amazing Dopey story. And then I want to play the Howard Stern thing. You want to go now?
Yeah, I have to go. I'm late to work.
You don't want to hear this great tale of recovery before you go?
It?
3 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
Yo, what's going on, everyone? This is Tim from Philly. Just giving a quick voicemail to report some good news. First time in a very long time, coming up on 30 days here, man. Complete abstinence. I feel great. My mind is working again, and I'm really digging into this recovery. Just wanted to let you guys know, man, it's still bad out there. This last run for me was just an eye-opening, scary experience. Back to running around the streets of Kensington, putting things in my body that I don't know what the hell are. It's bad out there, man. I'm telling you, I would wake up in the middle of cooking dinner on the ground with a blender in my hand, and I would just fall out. They're putting not only fentanyl but tranquilizer. I mean, it was bad, dude. I would go out pretty much every time, and that's scary that I got to that point. But that's what happens. So, but that's not where I'm at today, and I just wanted to give you guys some hope, man. I'm down in South Jersey. Ventnor. The recovery is strong down here. Got a sponsor, going through the steps, home group commitment, plugged into a church. Going to go serve there as best as I can. And yeah, man, I'm full force. You know, God is good. It's all about that spirituality, man, that higher power, whatever it's going to be. But, you know, I realize that, you know, my own thinking is like dookie, you know, like I just get myself in some bad situations. So I need something bigger than myself to control my life. So, you know, I encourage you guys to search that out. But yeah, man, it's good. It feels good to be sober. It feels good to be clear-minded, and just a little positive, man. Love you guys. Back in the community. All right. And thanks, man. Fucking
Tim from Philly. Very inspiring.
Sounds good, Tim.
You know what? I hate that you have to leave now because I also had a new Dopey verse from Wick.
Oh, yeah?
New Dopey rap verse and Howard Stern.
Okay. Well, I'll hear it. I'll listen.
You want to hear it?
Not right now.
All right.
How long is it?
The Dopey verse? 1.5 minutes. You want to hear it?
I have so much to do at work.
All right, fuck it.
I love that Dave came into to his dad's place, immediately took his clothes off and changed into his pajamas to do the show.
That's what I do. That's how we get things done.
You can't wear jeans while you're doing the show.
I'd rather not be confined.
And his jeans are laying right by the front door.
I'd rather not be confined to my jeans. Okay, next week you guys will... Actually, you know what? Fuck it. Ray's not going to hear it. I'm going to open up this week's show with Wick's verse you could hear it on the show.
Perfect.
So now I have to do that. And what else? I'm going to end it with the Howard Stern show thing. I'm going to play the whole thing because it was like the greatest thing I ever did.
It's very funny.
Besides Dopey and having children and falling in love and all that good stuff.
That was a good save right there.
Thank you. So Ray, welcome back. No more tears.
No more tears.
I figured I'd get you to
crying.
cry. I figured I could do it.
Can't make.
Did I get you close?
No, not at all.
Not even close. Not even when I talked about the licking the urine and eating the chest hair.
No, you can't make me cry. I'm cold inside.
You're cold stone. You've got no heart.
Emotions.
Except when you're at night
cold.
cuddling with the new man, recirculating your breath through his
emotions.
breath. Ugh, yuck. Anyway.
No chlamydia. I had a full battery of STD tests right down like 2 blocks away from here. Right there.
Since new guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But just in general, I have nothing. It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. Praise Jesus. Stay strong, Dopey Nation, and fucking toodles for Chris.
Toodles for Chris. Stay strong, Dopey Nation. Bye, Dave.
Bye, Ray. Here's Howard Stern.
Is a guy now who says he works for something called I'm not even sure what he works for, the Burly Bear Network.
What's that?
I think it's a network. It actually has some legitimacy. It's a college network. Here he is. What's this guy's name? Hey, dude. Let's see this guy.
This is where you're getting this award from?
Yeah. Entertainer of the Millennium.
That's right.
What's your name, dude?
My name's Dave.
Yeah, all right. Hey, and Gary, don't go too far because this guy, he's going to be off the air in about 2 minutes.
Hey.
You know, I'm not going to do a whole 3 hours with you.
I don't expect much.
Okay.
Fan, love
all right.
the show.
You're a college kid?
And did you make up these awards yourself?
Well, hold on a second. Are you a college guy or not?
No.
No, but you work for the Burly Bear Network. What is that? Describe to us.
It is the largest college cable network in the country.
Oh, it's a cable network?
Yes.
What does that mean, radio or television?
Television.
Television.
Yeah.
So you're on television?
Yeah, I am.
You have your own show?
I have my own show.
Right.
It's called Shuffle. It's great.
Shuffle, okay. And this goes to college campuses, this show?
Yes.
It's a closed-circuit network.
And it goes to some cable systems.
How does that work? In other words, how do you get it into colleges?
We basically just send them videotapes, and they play 3 hours of programming every day.
Because I went to college, and they used to have college. Now, I never know where to get it.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes in on the students' television sets?
Yeah, in the dorms, they have closed-circuit TV.
Oh.
And on cable systems, they have...
So I understand what happens is they send them the tapes. Remember when you used to get public affairs tapes? They send them the tapes and they take their word for it that they're playing them.
But I don't understand. So let's say I'm in my college dorm and I got a television set, right?
Yeah.
What am I, hooked into cable?
Yeah.
All right. And on the cable, the college controls one of the stations.
Say it again?
In the college, when you're in your dorm, the college has an actual channel of its own.
Some of them have like 5 or 6.
Okay. On the cable system.
Yeah.
And then they take your tape and they play it.
Yep.
Where do they play that? At the dean's office?
No, they play it on all the rooms. They play it in the surrounding area.
Really?
A lot of cable systems. We're on Time Warner in Manhattan now, every Thursday and Friday. 1:30 p.m. Shuffle.
Now how do... Okay, we got that.
Right on.
So now you... So what you're saying is that How did I get Millennium Entertainer of the Year?
Yeah, who voted?
No,
Entertainer of the Millennium.
Of the Millennium.
How did I get that?
Last spring, I started this survey.
All right.
Very akin to your secret double A-holes back in the day.
Okay.
And I have secret affiliates on my 500 networks. I mean, 500 stations.
What's this kid talking about?
I get him. I got him.
You got him?
I'm understanding the whole thing.
You are?
She's digging it.
All right, so you went around and asked a bunch of people who they thought was the best entertainer of the
They
Millennium.
took petitions. They roamed the campus.
Who's they?
Our secret affiliate.
The secret A-holes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. How many guys are you talking about?
How many people? Like about 450.
All right, 450 people went around and asked people who was the entertainer of the Millennium.
Correct.
On college campuses.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
So they took the poll, took a survey, and they contacted the person I work with, who's in touch with all the affiliates.
Yes.
And you won.
I won.
Who else was on?
Adam
voted?
Sandler was a close second.
Oh.
Right. I got 66% of the vote.
Sandler got like 22%.
That's not close.
No, you.
If I got 66% and Sandler got 22,
That's
you wrecked
ridiculous.
it. It's a landslide.
that's a landslide.
Whopping.
What do you mean it's pretty close?
That's what Nixon won by.
Yeah.
You wrecked him. I mean, I just say it's pretty close.
And who else was, let's see, 66 and 22, so that doesn't leave room for too many other people.
No, I mean, like, Bob Hope was a strong third.
Really, Bob Hope?
Yes.
Among college students.
Well, they think the Millennium's a long time.
Right, and who else?
Well, everybody else was just fodder.
Really, just one name, 3% this kind of thing. So in a landslide.
A landslide.
And in other words, you didn't say, do you think Howard Stern is the entertainer of the Millennium? You just said, give us the name of the entertainer of the Millennium.
Exactly.
And your name came up.
And it wasn't Letterman or Leno or Jerry Seinfeld. It was Howard Stern.
That's right.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Howard, I think you're incredible, but hard to believe none of those other names turned up on the list, but Bob Hope.
Well, he's saying they did, but in very small amounts.
Very, very small numbers. I don't think they hit the college market the way you do.
Really?
Yeah, that's my analysis.
No, let me see my award. What now? Did you make this up yourself?
Did I make up what myself?
The award, the actual award.
Academy Engravers made it for me.
All right, so you had it made.
I had it made. It says, for truth, honor, and the American way, Shuffles, entertainer of the Millennium, Howard Stern.
Right. It's not even the Huggy Bear Network's.
Hey, it's the Burly Bear.
The Burly Bear Network. It's a bowling trophy. You see that?
No, feel it. This is some serious weight.
Really? You hand that to me, please. Let me accept my award. Give me that. Give me that goddamn award. Entertainer of the Millennium. Let me see that. Wow, I have to make a speech.
Yeah, please.
For truth, honor. Yeah, look at that, Robin. That is a very heavy award.
That's what I'm saying. There's some quality in that.
You know what I could use this to hit Scott over the head with?
Or to hold the door open.
Yeah. No, this is for beating Scott. You should have heard the list of excuses that he gave Gary about why
Why it didn't work.
why when we did our song no one could hear it. What were some of the excuses he gave you?
Well, one of them was that the guy that came in to mix it this morning, this was the first time he was seeing the setup. Richie said it's not our problem because Richie said we were ready.
Yeah.
And the other one, which is my personal favorite, is that the wireless is on, and the wireless is a very powerful mic, and it tends to suck all the other sound out of the room.
Oh, there's no other sound allowed through.
What was his excuse for not being able to hear that things were going bad?
That one he didn't have an excuse. He said he wasn't sure.
I see. Why doesn't he keep his mouth shut and say, I have no idea? All right. On behalf of nobody, this is 1,000 years. How many is a millennium?
1,000.
This is in 1,000 years, ladies and gentlemen. Now, wait a second. I'm not going to belittle this award that I just received.
Please.
If this gentleman's even telling a half-truth, what he's saying is that he surveyed college students.
It wasn't a scientific survey.
No, it wasn't.
Relatively scientific.
Relative.
Well, pretty much.
You're relative to science.
Yeah.
Sometimes scientific isn't so good. He went to the people.
Right.
He went straight to the people.
Yeah, science is for the birds.
Where he went.
He went. How many people were surveyed?
Approximately, a lot of people, a couple 100,000 people.
100,000?
College students.
You're saying several 100,000 college. I don't believe that.
Why not?
I mean, that's ridiculous.
A lot of
450 people. Did they have jobs to hold down while they were
they're
around?
college kids.
It's true. If each person got 1,000 people surveyed, that's 450,000 people.
It's a very exciting award. Very prestigious.
Or maybe 45,000. I don't know.
Hey.
Or something. I don't know. But what I'm saying is,
These guys were high. They were sitting around.
all I know is on behalf. What is your name again?
David.
David, on behalf of the Huggy Bear Network, Curly Bear Network, and I want to thank the people, the college students who were surveyed around the country.
Absolutely.
What are some of the universities that were surveyed?
Michigan State University,
Right.
USC,
Right.
University of Florida.
All right. On behalf, who won the last millennium? You don't know.
It wasn't even a survey or an award.
Caveman. On behalf of the show, first of all, I'd like to thank Robin. She's here at my side every day, Robin Quivers. I'd like to say, oh, Gary, you're not getting thank you, big food bastard. All right, Gary and Fred, not Jackie. I'm thanking him. But I would like to thank my agent, Don Buchwald.
Thank me.
No.
Come on.
You don't thank the guy who gave
Thank
it.
the Academy.
All right, thank David.
Very nice. Thank you.
And I'd like to thank all the people working the office, you know, little people, etc. I'd like to thank my family, wife and kids, mom, dad, in-laws, everybody. Tom Chisano, maybe. Mel Karmazin, my godfather.
Yeah.
Man who makes it all possible.
Nice award, right? Good way to.
Yeah. I'd like to thank Sumner Redstone, my new boss, in Viacom. I'd like to thank Anne Marie, back in the office, wearing those tight pants every day. Tight shirts, too. Everything she wears, I'd like to thank. I'd like to thank the guy who designed her clothes.
Thank her designer.
I would like to thank, most importantly, the man upstairs.
Who's that?
Mel.
Oh.
Yeah, and Ed Moyer. He works up there.
Yell Frank Flores.
Yeah. He was circumcised, you know. I'd like to thank the E! Entertainment Network, CBS Television. I'd like to thank UPN. I was on the phone with them all night in the middle of creating a new animated series, Doomsday. Nothing like a conference call 3,000 miles away to make it all personal. I'd like to thank the cast of Son of the Beach, a new television show we have coming out on the FX network. I'd like to even thank Fat Vinny Favali.
And what about Mitch?
I'm not thanking Mitch.
Oh.
No, and Mitch too, Mitch Semmel.
You got to thank Dan Foreman.
Why?
Well, he was part of the Millennium.
I'd like to thank Dan Foreman, the producer of our Channel 9 show, and Bapango Fiesta. He now works for NBC News. I'd like to thank all my interns, especially the hot ones, for not seducing me. I'd like to thank Ronnie, the limo driver, also get mad. He cut a guy off yesterday. They was screaming and yelling at each other in the middle of the street.
Really?
It was great.
They stopped?
Oh, yeah.
Is it anybody you forgot to thank?
No.
Anybody you've left out?
No. I thank you.
No.
Who?
John always.
Oh, I told you he's one of the little people back in the office.
Yeah, he thanked the office.
Right. I'd like to thank Neil Drake and Wayne Siegel because combined they're 4 feet tall.
Oh, you haven't thanked Ralph.
Nah, I'm not thanking Ralph. So this is it. Entertainer of the Millennium, thank you.
Thank you. Can I say one more thing?
Sure, David.
Every Friday in New York City at 1:30 p.m., if you have Time Warner Cable on Channel 35, is Shuffle on the Burly Bear Network, and check us out at burlybear.com.
Oh, please. No one's going to watch that.
You never know.
Please, no one's going to watch that.
Come on now.
Word to get a plug.
I really feel this has some...
cheap, Robin. Very cheap.
Get a plug.
All right, now get out of here, David. You make me sick.
Thank you very much.
All right, you sicken me.
All right.
Well, there. Thank
you very much.
Baba Booey, I'm going to hit you over the head with this award every time you get out of line.
All right, before we go, my dad is back on the show. Welcome back.
Hi, everybody.
Now, if anybody stayed to listen to that thing, I just want it to be clear that I did that whole thing as an elaborate ruse to get on the Howard Stern show, to promote my stupid music show, and that the whole thing was basically a lie. So I want to make amends to Howard, and I'm sorry for leading you down a primrose path and lying about the Shuffle Entertainer of the Millennium Award.
But he made a good show out of it, though.
He's the best. That's why Howard should have been the Entertainer of the Millennium. That's why I chose Howard to be the Entertainer of the Millennium. Anyway, anything you want to add to the show before we end it?
No. I don't have anything to add except you want me to talk about that Jamie Lee Curtis maneuver. Anyway, she's a very, very sweet lady, and she
just said no.
And excuse me. And she appreciated the Dopey show and what David.
I don't know how people think you're so good on the show. You make no sense. You said something to me off the air that you think they understand what you're talking about.
Jamie Lee Curtis didn't want to go on Dopey because she thought that it was
mocking recovery.
And then when she
didn't listen to the This American Life.
When she did a little bit more research and thinking about it, she saw how important it was.
When she heard that Chris died, she felt terrible.
Absolutely.
And she wanted to contribute. So your point is totally moot as usual.
It's not moot. I just said it.
And in the wake of this coronavirus, what else will you be stocking up on? Seltzer, pickled herring, cookies.
And coffee. It looks like you ran out of
I have coffee for you, by the way.
Oh, you do?
Stumptown Coffee sent me a box of coffee, and I have some for you.
Why would they send you
Because I'm going to mention it on Dopey. So thank you.
Just did.
Thank you, Stumptown, for the coffee. Thank you, Dad, for coming on. Thank you to the great Ray, who never wants his name on the show and yet reveals more than anybody.
Yeah.
Stay strong, Dopey Nation. Dad, you want to say goodbye?
Yeah, stay strong, Dopey Nation. Toodles for Chris.
Do you think you're going to do this Al-Anon podcast that people are looking for?
No.
So do not look for the Al-Anon podcast, and stay strong, Dopey Nation, and fucking toodles for Chris, who we definitely miss.
My shadow